I am Nnimmo Bassey from Nigeria. I work with Environmental Rights Action as well as Oil Watch Africa. Actually, Nigeria is not investing much in renewable energy. Nigeria is focused on fossil fuel extraction, which is mainly crude oil and gas. But indeed, the area in which renewable energy is spoken about and in which investment is being done is in terms of growing crops for conversion to ethanol or biofuel. This is really displacing communities, taking funds from the people. And the policy for biofuel production in Nigeria is actually very anti-people and very bad indeed, because it was produced by the Nigerian Petroleum Company. And so they're thinking of a system where corporations who want to invest in this kind of energy production have very luxurious tax breaks and so many incentives and nothing at all for the environment or for the people. So the concept of renewable energy in Nigeria at the moment is not something that is really renewable or sustainable. It's something that brings profit to corporations and misery to landowners. In terms of biofuel production, the corporations that have already invested in it are not many, and are tied to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Is just in that's still at very elementary stages, and mainly ethanol plants, which are not really renewable. Well, okay, what can Europe do in terms of investment in the new energy forms to bring benefit to Nigeria? That's a very wide and big question indeed, because I think rather that the situation should be for Nigeria and other countries in the global south to determine what are the appropriate areas for investment that will benefit our people. A situation where policy directions come from other continents may not yield positive returns for Africa, because of course those who bring up these ideas would primarily be looking at how to reinforce their economic stranglehold on the continent. So it's not philanthropy, and it's not going to be anything that brings benefit. I can give examples. Example is if we stretch the idea of biofuel production, which basically is renewable only to a certain extent, the extent that the crops are cultivated, but it has a lot of problems. Now, that notion that biofuels can become useful has led to massive land grabs in Africa and in Southeast Asia and Latin America. And globally, over 200 million hectares of land have been grabbed just for production of this kind of energy. So it doesn't provide anything positive to the countries where the so-called investment is being made. But you know, the system of the global economic system is one in which powerful nations instruct more or less the weaker nations to accept what they call direct foreign investment or foreign direct investment, which means open up your economy, open up your system, accept whatever is thrown at you. There should be no protectionism, no restrictions at all, make the terms so open. And that kind of system doesn't bring something good to those who are the receiving end. So the shift to a sustainable energy production in Europe should mean primarily looking for resources for this new energy production in Europe, not elsewhere. Well, if we take a look at what has happened in the oil fields of Nigeria, nobody will really want to touch crude oil or gas, because it has brought serious environmental destruction. It has more or less killed the Nigerian environment, especially those in the oil fields. So the lesson to be learned is that oil is not a clean energy source. Everybody knows it's dirty energy that it produces, but any other investment should learn a big lesson that these fossil fuels are not the energy source that the world should depend on. In fact, there should be a quick transition away from fossil fuels. We don't have to wait until they're all exhausted. And we don't have to go into more extreme extraction like fracking for shale gas, or go into deeper oceans to drill for oil, or go into the Arctic Circle to drill for oil. All this should be out of bounds to anyone at all looking for energy from fossil fuels. So that's the lesson, that we should not adopt any energy source that will bring destruction and not protection to the environment. We've just begun the Alternative Energy Program and campaign, and what we're looking for is a situation where local communities can have autonomous energy generation capacities. This necessarily means that it shouldn't be mega projects, it should be small-scale solar projects, especially, and also, where possible, it could be micro hydros, but whatever system is used should be very small. Now, if I should go back to the question you asked earlier, I think we need to stand together globally to pressure oil corporations to wind down their activities with fossil fuels, to stop expanding oil fields, and now begin to think of converting their oil platforms, especially those offshore, as platforms for generation of solar energy or wind energy or wave energy. Those platforms, some of them are mobile floating platforms, which could actually generate energy and move to wherever is needed more urgently. So they could actually be creative and still be in the business of producing energy than to get stuck in the fossil fuel paradigm that is bringing the civilization to its knees. The autonomous energy production would mainly be realizable in the fields of solar and related kind of production. This is feasible because you can have this at very small scale. They don't have to be, you don't need big stations to provide this. Many people in local communities just require a few power points in outlets in their homes. They need lighting. They need energy for light machineries. They don't need very heavy and large outputs of energy. So it's possible to have very small scale energy sources from solar or even from wind or other renewable sources that would be managed by the local communities and would not be tied to the national grid. So you don't propose for feed-in tariffs and stuff like that. It would not be a situation that would be vulnerable to the problems that can occur if the national grid collapses, but things that are authentic, autonomous, controlled by the people, a kind of energy sovereignty where people take charge of the energy that they need.